Alright, so this is my very first tutorial, so if you don't like it, sorry. I don't know what to say. The first step is eyebrows. Now, if you came here to learn how to glue down eyebrows, I'm really sorry. This is not the video for you. I have given up gluing down my eyebrows, so I just shave them off. So for me, doing eyebrows is really easy because I just have to take them off. I have to put my hair up, so this is a great look for me. Really shows off all the forehead that I have here. And then the next step is you want to use a moisturizer. This is Watermelon Glow Pink Juice Moisturizer by Glow Recipe. We're going to get started in foundation, which I use Krylon TV Paint Stick, and I use the shade FS38 for my actual skin tone. And then one thing that I would like to note about these is they're water activated, I believe, or at least they work better if you put water on them. If you've ever watched the other dry cream videos where they're using TV Paint Stick and it just kind of slides all over their face really easily, when I bought this, it did not do that. It was really chalky and really dry, and it just did not want to go on my skin. So what my drag mother and I kind of found out is if you take water, I have a spray bottle, and you just kind of spray it on the actual stick, and then I rub it in a little bit just to kind of get the water in there. It goes on a lot smoother, kind of like those other videos where it just slides right on. So I go all over everywhere with the FS38. The only place I really don't touch with this is right under my eyes where I'm going to put my highlight shade. You can, I've done both. It doesn't really make a big difference, but I figure why put this under there if I'm just putting a different shade directly on top of it. Then you want to take a beauty blender. The dirtier the better. I rarely ever clean these things, which is pretty gross. But you just kind of want to start blending it out. And again, I'm just avoiding right here. It does go all the way out to here, usually where I put my highlight, but it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't affect it really. It's just kind of wasting this product. You want to go all over the neck because you don't want to be that bitch that is one color up to here and then just completely different. And then with the same reason, you want to go over the ears. So for my highlight, I use two different things, but the first one I use is another TV Paint Stick, and this is in the color GG. And the highlight shade you just want to put here under the eyes. Like, you can already see that's really light compared to everything else. And I go down pretty far with it. Because again, we'll be cutting this off anyway with contour. But I don't go like all the way down here. It's just too much. I don't highlight down here really. I know some dry queens will highlight under the contour. I usually don't. Or if I do, it's not a very light contour like this. Down the bridge of your nose. And then the center of your forehead. And again, this is just a base, so you don't have to be like perfectly exact with where you want this to go. Especially with the highlight and foundation, you need to be more concerned about the contour, especially if you're doing a really specific shape like I like to do, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then I do the chin and the cupid's bow. And then using the same sponge that I used for the foundation, just a different side, we'll go ahead and we'll blend out And then on top of the TV paint stick, I also use the Too Faced Born This Way sculpting concealer, and I'm using the shade Almond. And this one is very light again. It's more liquidy, so it kind of spreads out a little bit better, and I don't use quite as much of this. I mostly just put it like closer to the eye instead of all the way out here. Just sort of like this. And then again, smaller area inside. It is a bit lighter than the TV paint stick is. And again, if you miss any of the like highlighting or contouring over, you can always fix it later, which is why I like to use separate sides of the sponges for like one side is foundation, the other side is highlighter, and then I use other sponges for contouring. Is you can go back on with the product that's left over on the sponge and kind of blend out, like if my contour were to go too high up, I could blend this out, blend it out a little bit with the highlighting side of the sponge. And you can see how it adds a bit of dimension because this one is a lot lighter than the TV paint stick, so you can already see kind of, you want the lightest parts to be closest to the center, or wherever you want the high points to be, which for me is like the center and the top of the cheekbone. The next step is we're going to start contouring, and this is where I don't use the TV paint stick. This is a Krylon Ultra Foundation Trio, and it's just a little kind of circular with this with 3 different sections. And this is in the shades ELO, YH, and T5, which I'm not entirely sure if these correlate into TV paint sticks, but this is a lot more creamy than a TV paint stick. And you can see like this is supposed to be like the foundation shade, the contour shade, and the highlight shade. I use these two as my first contour shade, and then I use another product for my really dark contour shade. So you will need a flat synthetic brush. So what you do with this one is I do the lighter shade of the contour, mix it with the darker shade, and then go back into the lighter one. And you can mix it as much as you want. It's going to look the same. I don't use this highlighting shade very often. Every now and then I will. I don't notice a huge difference, but I will put it just right here. And then I contour around my head, down towards the eye on both sides, the cheeks, and the jawline, and then I'll usually go up around the chin as well. So I always start with the forehead because that is the least important part. And you can see this contour is not very different from the foundation shade, and that's kind of the way I want it. Especially this is just the cream contour and highlight, and we're going to add powder over it. You can see it's a bit darker now because I added more of that darker shade that was a little bit too light, but I don't like it to be too crazy, especially on the contour in the cream stage. This is sort of just the set for where you're going to put the powder and the guideline. It does make it a lot more smooth, I noticed, because I used to do just powder, highlight, and contour, and this has made a huge difference with doing creams underneath it. It makes it just look a lot better. And if you go on my Instagram, and I don't recommend you go through my old pictures on my Instagram because those are rough, but if you were, you would kind of see the difference that a cream contour can make. It makes it a lot sharper, more blended, just overall a lot better. This is where I do the cheek. I don't do the just kind of like straight down to the mouth like a lot of drag queens do with my particularly like cheekbone. I start about here. I don't know how well you can see it on camera. And I go down I'd bring it down to about here. But you want to kind of go up, and I just scoop out the cheek a bit. And you can bring it up however high you want. I usually bring it up a bit higher than that. And this is a bit lower than I would normally do. I don't really think I like how this looks. That's a bit too high though. And again, this is where coming in with the highlighting sponge can really help, because that was a bit too high. And you may need to go back in to grab more of the product, and that's fine. This one does not dry down quite as fast, like I said, as the second contouring product. But you see, again, you kind of have to finagle with it a little bit to get it just right. This is a bit higher than I would normally do, but I can show you, like, again, and with the contour, you want to try and blend up. You don't really want to blend it down, because that can make your face look like it's sagging a little bit, and you really don't want to look like that unless you just want to age yourself. Then you'll just want to take that highlighting sponge that you use, and you can kind of bring back some of that highlight that was taken out. If you notice that it doesn't really highlight anymore, you can also put some of the TV paint stick back on, just like that. Just kind of wipe it around on there, and that'll obviously bring back some more highlight. Next part of contouring is the jawline, which is just right here. And I just kind of start about a little above my earlobe and go straight to the chin, and you just want to cover the entire jawline with that, and that's just going to give you a much more smooth, rounded looking jaw. Do a little bit of cream contour on my nose, and I do a pretty simple nose shape. My nose isn't huge or anything, so I don't need to do a whole lot with it, but I start here, like right at the base of my nose, and then just kind of gradually bring it in to a point about right there. And then you want to do the same thing on the other side. See, it just gives you a little bit of shape. You can see it looks kind of crooked because I brought it in too far on one side, which is not a problem, because again, we can just take our highlighting sponge, kind of redo it, put some more contour down there. And then we're going to take the tip of our Beauty Blender and just kind of go down. I'm just going to go through like this half of my face, and then I'll do this half and then come back to the tutorial. But the next step is I have a black opal stick foundation, and this is in the shade Hazelnut. This is my dark contour. I start with the forehead. I only really do right here where it kind of dips in. So I'll do a little bit before and a little after. So I do about that much with the dark. That's even a little bit more than I would normally do. And you just kind of bring it back. You can always build on this. It is a lot more difficult to take away. It takes a lot more effort, so I recommend building it up instead of trying to just go in and go really big from the beginning. Because again, if I wanted this to be a little bit darker, which I think I might, I can always go back in with more of it. And this part, I can just kind of put the stick right on. Right, so that's fine. And then I'm going to skip over to the jaw. The jaw with the dark shade, I only go right at the very end of my jaw. So just kind of doing like right here. Again, this is a spot where it gets really crazy really fast. So this is where you really want to take a brush because we are going to go into the cheek area. And I just kind of put it a little bit right here. And again, it's just wherever you want the shadow of the contour to be the darkest, which for me is about right here, just at the very beginning of my hairline, and you want to blend it, kind of fade it in a little bit. And then I do just a very small amount under the shape of the contour that I'm going for. Again, you can do whatever shape of cheek contour you want, and you want to blend it out as well as you can. So that's kind of it. You can already kind of tell a bit of a difference. When it's blended out, you can't see it. The powder is really where you start to see the colors. You can already sort of see a difference on the two halves of my face. This is the half where I completely contoured. This is the half that I haven't really done anything other than the forehead. Alright, so now that we're done contouring, the next step is going to be setting the face with a setting powder. I just use Coty Airspun in the shade Translucent. Wow, Translucent. Can now talk. And I use a big fluffy brush. And then you can use the same brush. I use this brush just because. And I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit Light to Medium. And so you can tell it's very well used. So I use this middle one as my base contour color. Again, we're going to be using 2 different contour colors and 2 different highlight colors. So again, I kind of do this scooped out sort of shape. And if you go too far, I like to go back in with this brush a lot and just kind of blend everything out, but that's usually once I put down highlighter and contour. Again, you can kind of see this, they don't look very similar. This side is not nearly as good, so I'm going to kind of just take that, blend it out as much as I can. And then we can always use the highlighting pigmented powder to kind of go in and fix it. Like you can see, blending it out has taken away a lot of it. And we'll take kind of, again, it's not a blending brush, but it's not super flat. It's a bit fluffy, but it's still kind of a flat brush. And on that lighter contour shade, we're going to go in and go over the nose contour. So you can see it's still fluffy, but it's a lot smaller than this. And it doesn't really matter what shape it is. Like if you use a more chiseled kind of angular one like this, it's probably a little better. I use this one a lot. Also use like really any shape as long as it's fluffy and small. And I'm going to go in with the color that's a bit darker. And we're just going to go in the same places that we went in with the darker cream contour. So our next step is blush, which I use the Morphe blush palette. And it comes with 8 shades. I mostly just use all 4 of this top row. If I'm going for something a little bit more intense, I might use this one. I rarely use these 3 just because these 2 are too brown and this one is really, really bright, as you can tell. And then I would just use, again, a big fluffy brush, and I literally just go across the top 4. You can see, pick up some color, and you just kind of want to start here. Really just want to hit the apples of your cheeks, but I like to do it kind of in the top of the contour. It helps blend it into the highlight a little bit better. Oh, I just forgot to put powder on. It's the other thing. I forget to do shit all the time until I'm in the middle of doing something else. Like, I forgot to put powder down on my highlight. So we're about to go do that. So I'll just take, again, another big fluffy brush. I use a lot of these. And I use this really light shade. I used to, for some reason, use, like, banana powder, which does not look good on me. But back many, many years ago, which I will never show any of those pictures online because they are horrendous and beyond offensive to anybody with a working set of eyes. But I thought I looked beyond amazing. I thought I was just gorgeous. But I don't use banana powder anymore. This is old. I haven't used it in forever because it does not look good on me. I will use this shimmery shade a lot more sparingly. Like, I'll just kind of put it right here. Just where you really want that intense focus to be. This is kind of like using 2 different colors because you can see it brings in a lot more attention than just a matte shade because it is shimmery. Down the center of the nose. Right here, right here. And then again, we'll just go in with the blush, the top 4 shades in this, which is Sweet, Babe, Witty, and Beat.